Welcome back to the Midwest Morning Coffee Report with yours truly, Midwest Box Trucking. And this morning's live stream is going to be way quicker than normal because I actually got a load scheduled, a few errands to run, some phone calls to make, and so forth. It's like a really busy week for me. But I wanted to pop on and give you guys one of these streams. One of my avid supporters, Running Warrior, he was asking about me doing one of these and when I was going to do one. So I just wanted to jump on, kind of give you guys an idea of where we're standing pertaining to peak season and so forth. So pertaining to peak, it's kind of hit or miss right now. I'd say that the rates have been whining, if you will. You're starting to see some of what we saw before peak season where there were rates 220, 230 per mile. I've even been looking into a few different markets and some of their rates are even lower. And some of those markets I have not been following. So I'm just picking up on their peak season turnout. But here, it's kind of hit or miss. So you are seeing some of the lower rates that we saw pre-peak, but you're still able to get the rates that are on the higher side. I'm talking $4 or $5 per mile. Everybody should be able to secure 250, 275. That should be really easy right now. But I'm just giving you guys an idea of what I'm seeing overall. It's kind of, hit or miss. So, and as I stated, some markets are totally different, but Amazon is still running deals, which should keep the volume steady. And they're still advertising to us via the apps, messages, and so forth that volume is spiking and multiple different markets. So they're still reaching out to carriers and, advertising a heightened volume. But as I stated, I'm starting to see rates similar to what we saw pre-peak. And it's not all of them. And a lot of those rates are increasing eventually, but some of those rates are also being booked. So that's going to ultimately affect the algorithm as well. So you just got to kind of have some patience, wait them out. Don't book the first thing that pops up. The later lows are always going to come up with a higher rate per mile. And as I stated, oftentimes the later lows have a lower volume. So that's something to think about as well. You can pick up a later load and it may have the same stops, and then sometimes it won't. It could be missing a stop. So that's something to think about as well, that you always want to be patient with the way you booking these loads and just don't jump at the first thing that you see. Because from what I'm seeing, a lot of the loads that initially hit the board, as we know, usually hit the board at a lower rate. And there's some daytime lows popping up right now. So, it's still money to be made. But as we approach Christmas Eve, and so forth, we expect to see, the rates start to kind of lean in a different direction. There's 9 people in here. If you just rolling in, do me a solid, hit the like button. It's going to be a really quick live. Like I said, I just want to give you guys an idea of where we're at pertaining to peak season. Another thing that I'm going to talk about is the relay load board assistant. Because once you have a performance score of a 96% or higher, you're then able to negotiate. I've been talking about this a lot the last couple weeks because I want individuals to utilize this feature. And it's a personal dealing with you and Amazon. So you're able to negotiate. A lot of individuals don't know that. Somebody was just telling me that he just thought that he was able to negotiate the time. And that's incorrect. You can negotiate the pickup time and you can negotiate the rate. And the way I initiate negotiation is just when I open that window, because I know a lot of people don't realize this. When you open the window, you just tell them, I got a truck available for whatever amount that you're willing to run for. So I got a truck available for $750, and they'll come back with a number. And then you can say, no, that won't work. And then they'll usually come back with another number. And then you can say, no, that won't work. And then they'll ask you, why are you asking for a higher payout? So you have to actually negotiate, and it's actually AI that you're talking to. But AI right now is giving out a whole lot of money. But as I'm picking up on, individuals don't understand how to negotiate in that AI window, the feature on the app. So you have to, first off, and you don't want to waste a whole lot of time going back and forth, because you have to realize that these loads are still present on the spot load board and can be booked at any moment. So you want to negotiate quickly. And that's why, as I stated, when I open up the window, I just initially, hey, this is what I got a truck available for. Why? You tell them the reasons why you asking for a heightened payout, and they'll tell you what the max is they'll go for. They'll usually tell you that for a few different messages, and then they'll kind of stop negotiating. But it'll be up to you to close that window. So that's something I want to talk about as well. I think it's an excellent feature, and it's starting to create a process where they're rewarding their top carriers, which, you know, Amazon probably don't watch my channel, but, you know, I appreciate them doing that. You know, opening up an opportunity to negotiate with their top carriers and give us the top rates as opposed to individuals with lower performance score. I got 14 people in here. Somebody hit the like button for me. Another thing I want to talk about is DSP and their role in this peak season right now, because that was a big topic of discussion. What role was DSP going to play in this whole peak season scenario? And from what I'm seeing, it seems like they come in at their own little time frame, because it could be deceiving. It's times I've rolled in there and it's mainly DSP. And I'm like, man, they taking over. And then there's times I come in there and it's all independent contractors. And I'm like, man, where's DSP? So now I'm starting to pick up on that. It seems like they have a certain arrival time or certain arrival times. Of course, it's not one, but it seems like they all come in around the same time frame. So you can pull in there and not see any of them. Sometimes it's a mixture, but it's kind of hit and miss. So I think they have a certain schedule at which they come in and pick up their loads. But I'm going to be honest with you. Just over this last 3 to 4 weeks, from what I'm seeing, the field that I'm getting, they're not playing as big of a role as I thought they would be. And I'm just being 100% honest. I thought with the amount of trucks that we're seeing in my market, because it's a lot of them, the amount of drivers that I'm seeing in my market, because it's a lot of them. I'm not seeing them have the impact that I thought they would have on people's peak season earnings and volume as it pertains to Amazon. So yeah, I just been kind of looking at that as well, and that may be a good sign, because it shows that we can coexist with DSP. Because that's a big question as well. Are they going to get rid of, the independent contractors and so forth? What I've seen this peak season, DSP and the independent contractors have coexisted. And it's not a lot of issues. Another thing that I've been thinking about, is the fact that certain post offices and the USPS personnel are extremely difficult to deal with. I even have issues, and I have a system as to how I deal with them. I know when to cut communication. I understand when to contact ROC. I still have issues with some of the USPS personnel. Sometimes it's just like they chose violence. They came in looking for issues this morning, and it's unavoidable. They want to report you. And sometimes this has something to do with previous drivers and things they've done and said when they're dropping loads. That had nothing to do with me. And I'm 100% respectful. But you're getting the issues with these USPS postal workers. It's early in the morning. I always say it's a lot of room for error for everybody. We driving, we sleepy. They just showed up, they sleepy. Sometimes it's cold, it's freezing. We trying to get this stuff off the truck. They want it done a certain way. So it's a lot of back and forth. And, oftentimes Amazon is the mediator. These performance managers, they have to mediate these situations, figure out who's at fault, what went wrong. Usually it's a small discrepancy. But this may be a big reason why they are implementing DSP. So for those particular post offices, because you get night and day. Some post offices, you show up, they're waiting with the pallet jack, assist you with the stuff. Hey, have a safe trip, cordial. Then you go to another post office and they get crazy with you. So maybe Amazon is going to be using DSP to deal with some of these problematic post offices where they constantly have drivers reported for minimal issues. And that's something I was thinking about as well. Pretty much Amazon is going to have to use some of their, and it's not really their drivers, but it looks like their drivers. They wear a certain uniform, they drive a certain truck. So to USPS, it appears a certain way. And I feel like that is a big part of why they're implementing the DSP. So they can deal with some of these problematic post offices, because you have problematic carriers. You also have problematic post offices and postal workers. And like I said, it could stem from old dealings with drivers. It could be anything. The point is they keep having issues in these same different locations. So they have to have certain drivers to go in and deal with them. Those drivers are monitored in a certain way that we're not monitored as carriers. So it makes sense to use DSP to cover these problematic post offices where drivers are being reported for pretty much no reason. The driver ain't did nothing. He went in there, he tried to take, they upset today. So that's what I was kind of thinking about. Maybe that's a role that DSP is going to cover, because there's certain post offices that don't come up now. And I'm sure it's a reason behind that. I believe those are the post offices that Amazon is having their branded trucks show up to and cover. If you here right now, you haven't hit the like button, please hit the like button for me. I'm trying to do more of these. I go off of the engagement. So if you hear you haven't hit the like button, you watching, hit the like button for me. Something else I wanted to talk about was weekly drop scan ratings, because a lot of carriers are experiencing this. I've seen some messages come up. I've even received some email correspondences, but drop scan ratings, scanning all of your packages in the proper manner out of the Amazon facility and into these USPS postal facilities. That's something that's coming up a lot as well, where carriers are missing scans. They either didn't scan some onto the truck or they didn't scan it off of the truck. By the end of the week, they get an email with a percentage saying that this is what you should have scanned. This is what you did scan. We want you to scan everything to prevent issues with the freight. So different carriers periodically get memos, emails, and so forth from performance about drop scan ratings. So they monitor if you scan everything onto your truck and off of it. During this time of year, we see a bunch of issues and a bunch of carriers receive a bunch of emails pertaining to drop scan ratings because they're either missing scans, items won't scan, a barcode is damaged, and so forth. So that's coming up and it's being seen more and more. That's something I would look out for. Make sure you're scanning everything. Sometimes the app don't work right. The other night, I scanned all of the bags off of my truck. By the time I scanned the skids, the bags had disappeared. By the time I went to get the bags again, the postal carriers had already took the bags in. I'm not going to go in the postal facility that I really ain't supposed to be in and go, hey, where did you put those 8 boxes that I scanned off of the truck? Because I need to now get them back and scan them again because for some reason those scans disappeared. I just filled it in because you can manually go in and tell them it didn't scan. And I'm sure I'll get an email about that. The app wasn't working right. So it's a bunch of different scenarios that could cause situations to go wrong. And then it looks like it's something that you did. And once again, once the postal workers get to taking this stuff into the postal facilities, they get to throwing this stuff around. You have no idea where it went. And now you causing a disturbance because you're walking around the postal facility looking for boxes. So I'm not doing that. Whatever the email is, but just protect yourself. If you have to, communicate with your performance manager on any of these issues, because that's always my advice to anybody. But that's something that comes up, the weekly drop scan rating. Another issue, this came up during my last stream, is trip tender issues. I also dealt with it after that, and that's why I wanted to talk about it. You'll book a load with Amazon, and this could get you in a lot of trouble. After you book the load, you go to your upcoming trips and it's not there. It looks as if you don't have a load. So you wait 3 or 4 minutes, you keep looking, and for some reason, still looks as if you don't have a load. Sometimes this will happen to a carrier right around the time frame that a bunch of loads are being put out. So after 3 or 4 minutes, that carrier will then book another load. And maybe 10 minutes later, the initial load that they booked will come up. So now you have 2 loads. But that carrier will likely have 1 truck. And it's a trip tender issue. And I don't know if it has something to do with the volume of trips that Amazon is tendering right now, but you could book a load and it may not immediately go into your upcoming trips or your current trips. It may not be there at all. And then, you're just waiting around. It just happened to me twice. So that's why I'm bringing it up. So carriers don't then in 5 or 10 minutes book a second load. And then now you just kind of destroyed your performance score. So that's something you want to think about as well. When you book a load, if you don't see it right away, Wait 10 to 15 minutes. If you still don't see it, you may want to contact ROC before you book another load, just to protect yourself. It's a lot of loads being tendered right now. This is an app. Apps have glitches. So this is something you want to think about when you're booking loads, because I've seen people end up in issues due to this matter. So just protect yourself if you don't see a load coming up after you've booked it, because people are booking loads left and right. And it's happening to a bunch of different carriers. It's not just one person. So you just want to be careful. Something else that I want to talk about, I have a load book like this today. It's for like right up under $700. That's why I'm really about to end this stream here pretty quickly. Hit the like button if you haven't already. But yeah, I got a daytime load. And it's weird because now, and I've done a couple of these, I got a video coming on this as well, because I'm sure a lot of carriers are running into this. But I have a box truck load. Well, I got to go to a particular location just to go there. And then I bobtail out of there. How can I bobtail in a box truck? Like, this is what I'm trying to get to the bottom of, because usually if you're bobtailing, it's because you dropped a trailer in a semi. Amazon is tendering loads to where you go to a location just to start your navigation. And then you bobtail to another location, which, as I stated, I don't feel like you can bobtail in a box truck, but they pay you to do this. So whatever's clever. But that's something else we're seeing. And I'm trying to figure out more on how this works, because like I said, I got one today in a few hours where I have to go to a location, open up the app, and then leave there to go to another location. Now, why I need to go there first and I can't just go to the second location, it's not making a whole bunch of sense to me. But this is what Amazon has us doing right now. And as I stated, they're paying for me to do it. So I'm going to do it. But I want to get to the bottom of why we're having to go to one location and then bobtail to another, as opposed to just leaving home and going directly to the second location where we're going to actually be picking up freight anyway. So I'm trying to get to the bottom of that as well. But yeah, I got that load coming up in a few hours. That's a day run. And then I plan to get something probably to run tonight, and this is like the 2-minute warning pertaining to peak. We are really close to the end of this thing. So whatever you got to get done, go ahead and do it. Whatever money you're trying to make, go ahead and make it. Take care of, and close up whatever. Now I'm a life coach, but I'm just saying, close up your odds and ends now while you're making the money, because it's going to get scarce in January. So if you got maintenance to get done, do it. You got bills that need to be paid, pay them, because you're going to have some downtime to work on other things. And also, I would be looking into trying to get something dedicated for the first quarter into the second quarter of next year. That would be my goal. But yeah, we got box truck bobtail loads. I'm trying to get to the bottom of that. And yeah, I was talking to a buddy of mine, something I'll throw in before I get out of here, because I'm about done. I've touched on everything I need to. Like I said, if you here and you ain't hit the like button, hit the like button for me. Barbara Lee, what's happening? Appreciate you. I think you was having the app. Yep. I got the app sorted out here. Yep. You got to delete the whole app, reinstall it, and then it'll usually work. Yep. Appreciate you, Barbara Lee. Edge Trucking LLC. Yep. It's crazy right now, man. You got to protect yourself, play it safe, do the right thing. That's what I would tell people. I know it sounds taboo, but it's just real. So that's that. And then, yeah, my homeboy, I'm going to talk about that too. He's got a special situation because he actually owns a box truck and he owns a semi, just a semi. And he runs both sides. And he was just showing me where he's getting like almost $600. And he just goes to a location with his semi and moves trailers. And it's crazy. I'm going to talk about it in a video, because on his trip, he sent me the trip, and at the top it says 0 miles. So his trip actually goes nowhere. He just stays at an Amazon facility for 8 to 10 hours. I believe he show up at like 4:30 in the morning, and he done like maybe 1, 2 p.m. But he's just spotting trailers and hanging around the facility. Sometimes he only moved 3 or 4 trailers in a full shift. So that's just kind of what it is. Running Warrior, I see you. What's happening? Yeah, I saw you. You was looking for a live. I did this for you. I did this for you, man. You really like motivated me to do this because I try not to do these right before I have to get to work because I got like a mental process for me to get moving. But I got to do more of these. So it is what it is, and people want them. It's a demand for them. I see engagement here and afterwards, so I got to do them. But I appreciate all y'all. I appreciate everybody that's subscribing to the channel, and this episode thing is kind of keeping me motivated to do more of these on a regular basis because, like I said, I see that it is a demand for them. So I'm gonna take my little slot, and push these out, touch bases with you guys early, and it seems like the engagement is there. So I definitely appreciate everybody that come through and graces the stream. That's a yard switcher. They hire independents if needed. They mostly work you for hours, dogging you. My homeboy said it ain't that bad. One downside to spotting the trailers is that you lose your performance score. If you don't run Amazon for a certain period of time, then they stop counting loads. I believe after 6 weeks, your score resets to nothing. So that's something he's not liking. He's liking the money. He's liking the fact that he don't really got to do much. It's solid work. They contact him often, but he also runs a box truck and he want to maintain his performance on that end as well. So it's a struggle when he spot trailers most of the time. But he been in the box truck lately. He said he just could not, when he saw race, he just had to get back in the box truck. And that's something we was talking about as well, how, and we ain't gonna talk a whole lot about this, but the box trucks oftentimes make a lot more than the semis, unless they find their niche. Oftentimes people don't really realize they're not getting $3, $4, $5, $6 a mile. They're not getting that. And they have a higher overhead. They incur more costs pertaining to plates, maintenance, fuel, and so forth. So we were kind of talking about that as well because he runs both. And he owns both of his trucks. He don't pay no note on nothing. I tell him, I'm like, you're in a really good position, but he's still striving to do better. And I respect that too. And on that note, I kind of think I touched on everything I want to touch on today. I appreciate everybody that graced the stream. If you have not hit the like button, hit the like button for me. And I should be doing another one of these by the end of the week. So y'all just stay tuned to the channel. I also got some videos that I'm going to be dropping here shortly. But I appreciate everybody for gracing the stream. Y'all stay safe out here while we, closing up this peak season. And I'm going to catch y'all in the next one. Y'all have a good one. Appreciate you.